The Spurs are going back to the Alamodome tonight.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kansas City, San Antonio. Glad to have you back. TGIF and happy Dome game. The much-anticipated Spurs return to the Alamodome is tonight. They'll be taking on the Warriors, and that's what we're going to do right here on Locked On Spurs. We're going to preview tonight's game, Spurs-Warriors at the Dome. We're also going to do a little nostalgic look back at memories from the Alamodome, as well as kind of spotlight Blake Wesley. He's back, but not really, according to Popovich. All that and more in this episode of Locked On Spurs, and we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day, free and available wherever you get podcasts. Who is helping me today? He is back, everybody. Jeremy Sohan's number one fan. He is Mike Jimenez with San Antonio Sports Star and co-host of Jimenez and Spence on the Star. Jimenez, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're going back to the Dome tonight.
Oh, it's Dome Day, baby. And what I'm excited about is that so many fans are saying that they want to tailgate before the game.
Yes.
And I think that's absolutely amazing.
Yes. By the way, the Spurs did contact me. They did say that they're encouraging everybody to go up and get to the Dome tonight as early as possible. There will be, according to the Spurs, the tailgating vibe tonight. So get there before the doors open. And yeah, we'll be diving into a lot of more stuff and factoids and memories about the Alamodome. But first thing is first, Jimenez, there is this rookie, Blake Wesley, who is out of the G League. He is now on the San Antonio bench. This is the development season. But he hasn't played. And Popovich, at least as this recording, has said that Blake Wesley's best use right now is to just be stable to the bench and learn. Buying or selling Jimenez, good move or bad move by Popovich?
It's a good move. I understand what's going on here. Now, keep in mind, Blake Wesley, out of the three rookies, is the one that shined the brightest in Las Vegas because he was doing very well, and it was like, man, who is this guy from Notre Dame? I know the Spurs got 3 first-round draft picks, and we understood that Sohan was the prize because he was in the lottery, and then Malachi brought him at 20. But, you have Blake Wesley at 25, and it's like this guy just came out and was just balling in Las Vegas.
Sure.
And it was like, man, who is this guy? This is an interesting player to follow. Then he suffers that knee injury and goes back into the G League, comes back in December, starts lighting it up, almost 17 points per game. I mean, he is a talented player. He's a streaky player. And I'm trying to kind of but kind of try to figure out exactly where he fits in this team long term. But it's an interesting project to see. But as far as Pop going out there and say that he's not going to play him, you got to showcase your trade pieces right now. Trade deadline is February 9th. So that means that Josh Richardson should get run and McDermott should get run as opposed to relying on Wesley at that point. He will be, once the rodeo road trip comes around, a bigger part of the team.
I disagree with you. I think Blake Wesley should be getting burned right now. There's only one way for this rebuild to get into that fast forward kind of push in the right direction. See what your assets you have as far as production on the court, and Blake Wesley is one of them. Look, there's a chance that Wesley, I get it. He's just a rookie. He's just starting his pro career with San Antonio. But if for some reason the Spurs whiff on the number 1 pick and they grab up Scoot, I mean, Blake Wesley is expendable. And, and if you're giving this kid some burn in his rookie season to get out there, show what he can do, perhaps he becomes an interesting piece to flip in the offseason if the Spurs, again, mess up and, don't get the number 1 pick and the basketball guys don't smile them and they end up getting Scoot Henderson. Because at that point, Blake Wesley and even to a certain degree, Trey Jones become a little expendable. So, and again, this is a rebuild. You want to see what your assets are. And Blake Wesley's only played 2 games in a San Antonio uniform. So a very small sample size, but that's the point. We have a small sample size. We don't know what he can do at the pro level yet. We know he can do at the G League level. He's showed that he can, play with the best of them. But again, that's at the G League, not at the NBA. Jimenez, I think Popovich is wrong. He should be getting Blake some burn. Your thoughts?
Well, the sample size that we do have from Blake Wesley, which is a couple of games, was 8 points per game. So it wasn't like he wasn't afraid to shoot the ball, which was great.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but that's a perfect world, man, to go out there and say, well, we got to give these guys runs simply because we got to see what we have from them. That is a long-term point of view, and you are correct in saying that. But the short-term point of view, which is what Pop is right now, is basically saying that we need to focus on the trade deadline. I mean, first thing is first. You can develop Blake Wesley in the summer leagues. You can develop him February, March, and April. He'll get 20, 25 games where he can show what he can do. I understand wanting to get him out there because he's an interesting piece. And like Pop says, he wants Blake Wesley to be part of the team, feel like he's part of the whole process. He is an interesting piece and maybe will be expendable down the road if the Spurs do get a high lottery pick. Think about it this way. You look at the mock drafts out there, Wemby being the top prize right now is a big guy, but everybody 2 through 11 right now seems to be either a 2 or a wing. And that might be something that might make Wesley expendable in the future. I like what I've seen from him so far, the little pieces that we've seen. He's an interesting piece. I do want to see him play, but I'm more than comfortable waiting until February 9th until that happens.
Yeah, it is just so hard to gauge him right now because of that 2-game NBA sample size. The last time he played was back in October 30th versus Minnesota. He played about 8 minutes, scored 6 points, grabbed 2 rebounds, didn't even attempt a 3-shot. And his overall field goal shooting is one of the biggest areas of concern for him heading into the NBA. His own words too. I spoke with him after he got selected by San Antonio. He told me, "Hey Jeff, I got to work on my shot." And there's only so much that a practice, a scrimmage against his own teammates can do. I mean, at this point, might as well just stick him in the G League. Let him cook there for a little longer. Don't let him get buried on that bench. What do you think? What do you come out for? Do you think right now he's better served in the G League or just stapled to the bench?
Well, let's go back in time to October. You mentioned those 2 games that he played. Remember back then, the feeling that we were getting from us and from Spurs fans was like, wait a minute, this guy might actually compete to be one of the best Spurs rookies this year. Spurs had 3 first-rounders, and we were thinking that Sohan would be the best one, and it would just fall in order. But Blake Wesley was the most intriguing one for me because I was like, man, the guy is a fearless shooter. And he had some issues there with injuries, and they had some COVID protocols in the summer, and it kind of prevented Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley from playing together. I find this fascinating about all 3 of the Spurs rookies because all 3 of them have shown flashes of we belong. Jeremy Sohan shows that he has belonged because what he can bring on the defensive side, and he has shown that he can be coachable. Malachi Branham, all of a sudden, is starting to become a streaky shooter, but you're seeing him knock down a higher percentage of shots, and he's somebody who is not afraid to shoot. And then Blake Wesley, early on, I mean, first 2 games of the season, was running around and wanting to find his shot. I like a lot of each of these players, right? It's not perfect. It's not ideal. They're all 3 of them are projects. But Blake Wesley right now being stapled to the bench, I think for right now, he needs the speed. He needs to catch up to the speed of the game.
Right.
Playing in the G League and playing 4 games in December, it's getting his legs healthy. It's getting that stamina back. It's testing the knee out. But going out there right now, and I don't want him to lose confidence by going out there and being thrown to the wolves immediately after an injury. I think he needs to be eased back into it, either by being stapled to the bench or, like you say, maybe just get some run in Austin just so that he feels more confident so that he can actually perform once he's actually given a shot.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation for the Spurs because then you got Sohan being thrown into the point guard spot. They've been using him as a point forward most of the season. So he's been bringing the ball up. Obviously, Trey Jones is having a phenomenal season. So a bulk of the point guard duties are going to be given to him. And once in a while, you see Josh Richardson do it, bring up the ball up. Well, Devin Vassell when he was ready to go. doing the same thing. Do you know what this reminds me of, Jimenez? What happened to DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker early in their careers? Remember, they got hurt early in their rookie, sophomore seasons, and they were just, stuck in the G League for a while. And they came back and they're stable for the bench. I think it happened really more so for Lonnie Walker. He was kind of getting in a role, if you recall. He got that knee injury, came back, Austin, same routine. Blake Wesley, fire in the summer league. Those 2 games, especially that first, his debut, October 28th for Chicago, 10 points in 15 minutes and 4 assists. Everybody's like, yeah, look at him. And then boom, he got hurt. And then he, it just sucks because that set him back. But hey, this is a rebuild season. And hopefully Wesley will get that NBA burn later down the road in this regular season. We're here with Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star, co-host of Jimenez and Spence. Check him out on San Antonio Sports Star. He'll talk about more of his show later on this show right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we continue, I want to talk to you about LinkedIn Talent Solutions. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. Go beyond the resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering hires versus leading competitors, and that's quality hires. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on Twitter at MikeESPN. Let him know that you're monitoring the whole Sohan situation because there might be some hair coloring down the road for Jimenez. I'm just reminding everybody, Michael. Just reminding what you said, you put out there in the universe.
Dude, I said if he became a 35% three-point shooter, I would color my hair whatever color he is. I am nowhere in danger of coloring my hair. People are asking me, though, to lower that threshold. And, what do I lower it to? 30%? 25%? Right now, Sohan is at 20.3%. I remember the second he got above 20%, I texted you and you put me on blast. You completely roasted me because I alerted you to the fact that he was above 20%.
I wish you put on that message there off the record. That would have made me like, okay, this is off the record. But yeah,
I can't believe that I have to do that with every text message with you now. This is
no. You don't have to. You don't have to. Now I got the message now. I got it now. You put me in my place, Jimenez, so you're good. So Spurs-Warriors tonight. The big dome game is here. Finally here. This is the much anticipated game of the regular season for the Spurs. And I think the Spurs fans needed it, with the team being well below 500. They know what the assignment is, a rebuild, but this is going to be just a fun night. Now, before we get into the festivities, there's still a game to play. Spurs-Warriors tonight. It's not like the Spurs are the big, bad, mighty Warriors. I'm sorry, excuse me. The Warriors are not the big, bad, mighty Warriors as they used to be. They're below 500 as we speak. They are, I believe, 20 and 21. The Spurs are 13 and 39. This is a winnable game for San Antonio because they're catching the Warriors in a bad spot for them because they're coming in on a 3-game losing skid, 2 straight losses on the road for Golden State. How do you look at tonight's game on the court?
Well, I think it's a road game for both teams because this is a road game because you have Golden State coming in and playing the Spurs, obviously on the road. But the Spurs, these players have never played at the Alamodome. And I remember back in the day, the opposing teams would come out and say it was so difficult to play at the Alamodome because of the depth perception. They're used to a configuration of an arena to be a certain way, and when you have it in a football stadium, the depth perception gets thrown out of whack. It's almost like playing basketball outdoors at the park. It's just a different feel. So it's kind of hard to say whether or not either team has an advantage. I think both teams are going to be disadvantaged at that. I bet you it's going to be a low field goal percentage game for both teams.
Right.
You mentioned the fact that the Warriors have been straddling that 500 mark and been south of 500 most of the year. A lot of that has to do with injuries. Steph Curry came back from injury. It's weird to see this, NBA champion, this defending NBA champion team struggling this year and may actually be in the play-in tournament, for crying out loud. But I mean, that's still Clay over there. That's still Steph. That's still Draymond.
Exactly.
That's still a very talented team. So it's one of those things where I'm not expecting necessarily the Spurs to win, but man, when you have 65,000 people there, if there's ever a night where the crowd can come and be a big part of a victory, it's tonight's game.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into the festivities in just a few minutes, but when you say big crowd, Jimenez, everybody else, he means it. The Spurs have broken the record for a single game regular season attendance. So kudos to San Antonio Spurs, the city of San Antonio. Y'all did it. And a little teaser here. There's a chance for the Spurs to just shatter the record. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But yeah, I'm interested tonight in seeing Draymond Green and Sohan, because a lot of people think of Sohan as in that Draymond Green mold, do a little bit of everything, be an irritant on the defensive end. And we've already seen Sohan go at top players in the league, trying to get under the skin. Ask Luka Doncic. I mean, Luka almost had a reaction to Sohan's antics, kind of started walking to him until one of his Mavericks teammates pulled him away. So I'm looking at that matchup. That's just a fun matchup for me to watch. But I'm also interested in seeing, Steph Curry, how the Spurs are going to defend him. Will they put Sohan on him? Trey Jones, Steph Curry matchup would be interesting as well. Not having Devin Vassell is going to hurt. Again, just a full disclosure, we do not have the injury report as of this recording, so that might be in flux. Keldon Johnson is back from his few games out. He played the last game versus Memphis. Did all right, double-figure scoring, over 20. Did say after the game, Jimenez, that he was winded, but he felt okay, so that's something to look out for tonight. But here's something interesting. The Warriors for this month of January are shooting a season low from the field. So they're misfiring on their shots, what might help the Spurs tonight, considering, as you mentioned, they're playing in the cavernous dome. They're shooting through 4 games in January, 43%. That's a season low for Golden State. Your thoughts,
Wow.
Jimenez? Yeah.
Well, you're catching Golden State at a point in time where it's a transition phase for them because they've been injured, and when they have been healthy, they haven't been lighting it up at all. I mean, it's the Splash Brothers aren't playing like the Splash Brothers right now. Even Jordan Poole has taken a step back this year as well. The 3 things I'm looking for in this game, one is, you mentioned the Draymond Green, Jeremy Sohan kind of comparison there. Seeing how they mix, if you will, when they're playing against each other. Will they irritate each other? That's going to be an interesting thing. I also want to see the dynamic between Draymond Green and Keldon Johnson, because Draymond Green has a lot of love for Keldon. A lot of love.
He does. Yes, he does.
Because of the Olympics. And Keldon was, he wasn't a big scorer at the Olympics, but Draymond has said that Keldon was one of those guys that was a glue guy to bring the team together, keep them loose, and keep them fresh, battle them at practice. And don't get me wrong, Keldon did get a little bit of run at the Olympics and did play well when he was out there. But Draymond showed an affection for Keldon, and I wonder what kind of reaction they'll have when they see each other again. So that's something that I'm going to look at. You mentioned Trey Jones. His stats have been eye-popping the last 4 games.
Oh, my goodness, have they? Yeah, they have. But
more than
you know
20
what he
points per game.
Exactly. He's been playing great, 20 points per game. But I want you to hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're up against a break. When we get back, we're going to let Jimenez finish out his thoughts on Tre Jones because I think he deserves a lot of attention for what he's doing on the court for the Spurs. We're here with Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on Twitter at MikeESPNSA. Do that right now. And also check out betonline.net, your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Get all the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to basketball to soccer. Look, they just got it all over at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. You can also find NBA prop futures. I know I look at those, especially when it comes to the Most Improved Player Award. Are there any Spurs in the running? Maybe, maybe not, but you definitely want to check that out. Is Coach Pop still in any type of Coach of the Year running when it comes to Vegas odds? We'll go check it out over at betonline.net. Always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. We're back with Michael Jimenez with San Antonio Sports Star and co-host of Jimenez and Spence. Check it out at the San Antonio Sports Star and the radio dial. What is it, Jimenez? 12:50 a.m. and 94.1 FM?
Well, it'll only be 94.1 FM pretty soon, so I want people to get used to that.
Okay, well, there you go. Only 94.1. So go there now. But he'll brag about his show in just a few seconds. But you're talking about Tre Jones right before the break, and I definitely agree with you. What he's doing this season is just incredible. He is becoming the most consistent Spur game in, game out, double-figure scoring. It's not surprising to him to flirt with a double-double and assist. I mean, wow, Jimenez. Just a great season for Jones.
You know, I'm sometimes hard on players like, Sohan and other players
Jimenez, get out.
But the one player that I will say that I need to apologize to is going to be Tre Jones. Tre Jones, and it's not so much an apology because I didn't have faith in him, because I've said all along, and you know this, that I've said for a long time that you see Tre Jones play, and you see somebody who's going to be in the NBA for a long, long time. This is the guy that's going to have 8, 10, 12-year career, coached by Coach K. Coach K was devastated when Tre Jones was not drafted in the first round. And when the Spurs got him, I remember Coach K coming out and saying, the Spurs got a steal. And I was going through old mock drafts, like the final mock draft leading into that draft, and I found CBS Sports that said that Tre Jones should have been a top 20 pick. And he fell all the way, I believe, to like 39 or so. Mm-hmm. But Tre Jones, I'm still conflicted as to whether or not he is the point guard of the future for the Spurs in the sense of being a starter. Is he the next Tony Parker, or is he the next Patty Mills? The good thing is that I think he can be either one. It's just that if he is the point guard of the future, something needs to be done defensively to hide him when it comes to playing taller point guards. If a point guard is coming out there that's 6'5", 6'6", or taller, Tre Jones can't guard that player. So I don't know if that means you bring Sohan up to the top to guard that type of player. But from an offensive standpoint, that guy has a motor on him, and he weaves in and out. His assist numbers are starting to get up a little bit better. He is, like you said, he's somebody who's a little bit more consistent than what we thought he would be. So Tre Jones is interesting. It's an interesting development with him. But we used the phrase expendable early on when it came to Blake Wesley. If the Spurs get the number 2 overall pick and get Scoot, Tre Jones suddenly becomes expendable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say that this person is the player of the future because we don't know how the draft is going to unfold later on this year.
Exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting question for Jones as far as, what he'll project out to be. Is he, as you mentioned, Tony Parker, and Avery Johnson? Popovich has already compared him to Avery Johnson. So, but look, as far as the here and now, you've got to tip your cap to Tre. I mean, what he is doing is just eye-opening. And what I like about him is when the Spurs lose and those post-game chats, you could tell it bothers him. And the competitive spirit with that he's been showing this season has just been remarkable. But yeah, and to think he was a second round pick a late second round pick, and the Spurs scooped him up. So kudos to Jones. Hopefully he'll continue playing. But he and pretty much the entire city of San Antonio will be at the Alamodome tonight. Back home in the Dome, the Spurs return to their former stomping grounds. The last time the San Antonio Spurs played at the Alamodome was back in May 2002. Here's a little factoid / trivial pursuit question. If you get it, it was against the Lakers. The Lakers and Spurs were the last game to play at the Dome before the Spurs moved to what used to be called the SBC Center, now the AT&T Center. It's going to be a great night. Spurs broke the attendance record already. And here's how they can shatter it, Jimenez. So the seating capacity for the Dome is 65,000. So as of right now, the Spurs are over 63,000. That already broke the record. But so they got a little over 1,000 and change to get the seating capacity in. But the Spurs did tell me that they're going to release 3,000 standing room only tickets. So that could go up to 68,000. Do you think the Spurs can get 68,000 tonight?
Where are they going to put these 3,000 people?
I mean, have you seen the layout for the Dome? The pictures they released? It looks like there's no court. It looks like a little Chex Mix square in the middle of an open field.
Bring your binoculars. It is going to be insanely crazy because it's not the same dimensions as when they played here back in the day where that big ass blue curtain was there dividing the field. I mean, basically, like you said, it's going to be this tiny square dot in the middle of a football field, and everyone's going to be just watching it from the middle of nowhere. Will they get to 68,000? I don't see why they wouldn't. Because isn't this like the ticket to have? I mean, isn't this one of the most exciting things to come around?
Exactly.
I think people will want to go. Those who haven't gotten a ticket already will want to go for the fear of missing out more than anything. It's all FOMO. Fear of missing out, that they're going to miss out on the spectacle and be able later on down the road, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, say, remember that time we saw Steph Curry play at the Alamodome? Remember that?
Yeah.
That's going to be it. And is Tag Team going to be there? Or what 90s band's going to be there?
Yeah, Tag Team. Yeah, Tag Team is performing at halftime. So whoop, there it is. That's the band that will play at halftime. But it's going to be a spectacle. You know, there's going to be a fireworks display after the game is over. I think win or loss, is just going to be a fun night. Tickets are, as you mentioned, are still available. Ticketmaster, Spurs.com. Everybody knows where to go to get those. And, a little bit more trivia here. So Popovich earned his first coaching win at the Dome on December 14th in 1996. So there's a little trivia factoid for everybody. The Spurs record at the Dome finished with 458 wins, 248 losses. Of course, this was also the beginning and the start of the Big Three era, even a little bit of the Twin Tower era before Robinson retired in 2003. So that's, where the Spurs, the dynasty began. The first title ever was in 1999. The Spurs didn't win it at the Dome, but I remember the victory celebration at the Dome was fun. I was there. Were you there, Jimenez, back in the day?
I was, man, and I was there for the 99 finals as well. And one of the biggest memories I've ever had as a sports fan was being there at the finals of 99 and seeing complete strangers hugging each other and sobbing because we knew it wasn't going to come back. We knew that the first championship would be won on the road. And it was weird because, Spurs had never won a title before. And there was, it was not arrogance for Spurs fans. It was such confidence that, wow, this team is actually going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great memory there of the Alamodome. And it wasn't the best place to watch a Spurs game, but man, that's where they won the title the first time. Exactly. And I'll always have that experience. I have photos. I when the TCU played Georgia the other day, I went to a bar, went to the Rue Pub, and my friend was talking about the photos from the 99 finals. And I'm like, yeah, I still have those photos. I have them printed out, and I still look at them from time to time. And it's a great moment, great experience, and tonight's going to be fun.
Yeah, a couple things. One, I hope the Spurs make sure the water cannons do not react to fireworks, because that's exactly how the fireworks caused the cannons to go off. Versus the Warriors on opening night in 1993. So the cannons weren't calibrated for that, and the smoke and all that stuff activated the cannons, and of course, drenched everybody in attendance. So hopefully they corrected that. Although I think it would be a fun little homage to it if they just release blue confetti on people. I think that'll be fun.
Dude,
That'll be good.
that video of the cannon going off and David Robinson's reaction of him
Yeah, just
smiling
laughing.
and laughing, classic.
Yeah, it was very, very classic. Of course, look, I don't want to rain in the parade. My only gripe is they're using the wrong court. They're using the Fiesta Night court that we're already seeing at the AT&T, which is with the capital S and the A in the middle of the court, and the Fiesta color triangles, those graphics on the edge. It's not the OG court, Jimenez, or at least painted over to look like the OG court. I think the Spurs whiffed on that. Your thoughts?
It's an interesting point. I didn't really think about that. I really don't mind it too much, to be honest with you. I think it's a small detail of the whole thing that's going on. But what I have a question about is, where is the after party? Because if you have 68,000 people at the Dome,
Oh my
I can
goodness, it's
just
gonna be
imagine
madness.
what Pat O'Brien's is going to look like. I can just imagine what the Riverwalk and Mad Dogs and Republic of Texas. And what about the bottom? Are we going to meet up at the bottom? I mean, that's still open. Where's
That
the
no,
after party?
that's really throwing it back to the 90s. If you go there, I mean, you're really, really taking it back to the 90s when that place was like, I think it was at its peak in the
Oh,
back
it
in the
was at its
90s.
peak.
Yeah, it was back then.
Every
Yeah,
time I see
everybody
you
was there.
falling.
Look at
Yeah,
Jimenez.
you just start dancing to that. Great, man.
Jimenez
That's a
is
great
probably
pick.
there right now, doing this Locked On Spurs show. So, a couple other things too. Again, the Spurs are encouraging everybody to get there early. Parking at the Dome begins at 11:30 a.m. Yes, you heard that right. 11:30 a.m. The doors open at 6:30 p.m. There will be limited exclusive merch at the Dome. You can check that out at kens5.com/Spurs. First one to break it to San Antonio when it came to some team gear right here. 4 limited edition t-shirts, all with the 90s vibe, and of course celebrating the Spurs return to the Dome. As mentioned, tag team will be there. There's just so much going on. Avery Johnson is returning to the Dome, and he's actually going to call the game on TV. And
Nice.
so that'll be fun to see. Steve Kerr, played in the Dome and won a title in '99 with the Spurs, and now he's on the Warriors end of the bench as a head coach. So just fun to see. Robinson will be there. Sean Elliott will be there. Yeah, it's going to be a great night. Jimenez will be there. I will be there. Practically the entire city of San Antonio is going. But like I said, there's still tickets available. So hope the Spurs just shatter that NBA record. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Blake Wesley being stapled to the bench right now? Good, bad, buying, selling, Pop's decision? Perhaps he's better off, Wesley, that is, being sent to Austin in the interim? Or do you like that he's just learning and observing from the bench? Your thoughts on tonight's game and, of course, the return to the Dome. Jimenez, brag about your show, Jimenez and Spence.
Hey, it's a new show. It's a new time, man. So halftime was going from 12 to 2. The show has been renamed to Jimenez and Spence, but now goes from 12 to 3, which is great because every single show that we have at San Antonio Sports Star Monday through Friday got added an extra hour. So R&R in the morning from 6 to 10, Jimenez and Spence 12 to 3, and the Blitz from 3 to 7. Tim Spence is my new co-host. We're still trying to gel together, man. We have some good shows the past couple of weeks, but it's one of those things where we're trying to figure out our way, trying to figure out how we're going to put this all together. But it's been fun, because we're incorporating music into what we're doing. I know back in the halftime days, I did a lot of nostalgic movies. I think this year we're going to focus on nostalgic music when we're talking about things that are not sports related. But again, obviously a lot of Cowboys talk, a lot of Spurs talk. Cowboys in the playoffs taking on the Bucks. on Monday night. That's a big deal. So it's a fun show. It's a fun time. San Antonio Sports Star, man, rocking all that local programming. And by the way, yes, I did hear the Locked On Spurs podcast where you and Pledger were coming at me. I cannot believe you did not give me time to go after him, but it is what it is.
Okay, how about this? You got it. Yeah, I'll give you a couple minutes. Go ahead. Go for it.
Dude, the guy tried to force me to apologize to Sohan, man. And it was one of those things where he's like, come on, just do it. They just kept egging me on. I was like, fine, okay, maybe I was a little wrong. And they've been playing that loop over and over and over again. And then Sohan has 2 really bad games. And Pledger's looking at me going, you can't take it back. You can't take it back. But no, man, it's fun. And there is a rumor out there that Pledger might actually co-host with me for one show next week. We're looking at possibly next Thursday. So that would be pretty cool.
That will be fun. Yeah, I think when you heard that last Locked On, even I was surprised. I was kind of like, did he apologize? I remember kind of reacting to what Pledger told me. And he was like, oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did. He's like, yes, he did.
It was a sheepish one. It was kind of like, fine, whatever type of an apology. It wasn't a heartfelt one.
By the way, again, I'll give you another shot here. You heard the grades we gave Sohan for his mid-season rookie report card. What is yours?
Mid-season report card. If you had asked me about 3 weeks ago, I would have said C. But I would probably say B- to a B.
Okay, so you're right on par with what we said, because I think Pledge gave him a B- or B. I think I gave him a B. So yeah. Room for improvement for Sohan. We know what Jimenez wants to see from Sohan moving forward. That 3-shot and the outside shot. But I don't want the 3-shot. I just want him to avoid the 3-shot. Oh, here we go. No, we got to stop now. This show can go off the rails now. But for Michael Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. Oh, quickly, by the way, I'm sorry. I can't let you go out before thanking you, everybody, for making Locked On Spurs the first listen today. Second listen, check out Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA. Local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts, just like Locked On Spurs. Odyssey app, YouTube, Ken's 5+ app. And yeah, pick a platform. iTunes, iHeart, everywhere. So for Michael Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.